Hello, hello, hello. It's Alviana, the owner of Black Nurse Entrepreneurs, the premier networking organization for you, the Black nurse who is interested in launching, building, and growing your entrepreneurial endeavors worldwide. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. You guys saw that I came on live earlier just to let you guys know that this Wednesday is full of a lot of value. So we have our very first interview. I am pleased to introduce my good friend, colleague, business bestie, however way you want to say it, Miss Tameka McKneely. She will be a part of our takeover conference, and we're just going to come to you, bless you with a couple of nuggets and tips and jewels that you can take and use them inside of your business. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Let me go grab the queen of compliance for you, and then we'll get this conversation started, okay? There she is right there. Welcome, 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 Miss Tameka McKneely. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. So I told the people that you are the queen of compliance, but you're the multi-passionate queen too. So to go ahead and tell us everything that you do.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like you said, I am Tameka McKneely. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, which just means I have several businesses. I do real estate investing. I have a marketplace for Black creatives. I am a Black creative, so I do all things creative. I am a general investor, motivational speaker. I just do a lot of things. But my main thing is I am a compliance consultant. So I help entrepreneurs build rock solid foundations and compliant foundations for their business so they can be protected from fines, penalties, damaged reputations, business disruptions. So basically, I am trying to change the current culture of compliance from a reactive to a proactive culture.
Very well. So one of the reasons why I said, listen, we have to get Tameka on at our conference is because this is something that I feel like we don't spend enough time on. We talk a lot about, we got to get a good logo. We got to get our colors. We got to get this up and going. Oh, let me get my little Gmail email account and all of this. But we never really spend enough significant amount of time focusing on the foundational pieces that help to not only build a solid business, but also keep us out of trouble as we continue to scale and grow our business. Why is this so important to you?
Well, it's important to me because I am a compliance professional by being, I guess. I've always been the person that was about the rules, and we need to figure out what the rules are before we start. So to me, it's just in my blood to know how to do things correctly, make sure that you are set up correctly, make sure that things are organized so that you don't get in trouble. So it's probably from childhood. I never wanted to get in trouble. So I needed to know what are the guidelines, what are the rules, so that I can make sure that I stay out of trouble. So now that I am an adult, I am helping other people do the same, especially in their business, because a lot of times we just don't know what we don't know. And like you said, we're thinking about a logo and an email, and we're not thinking about the laws and regulations that we actually need to follow in business that are required.
Gotcha. Within the past year, I feel like you're becoming more and more visible, really coming out there saying, hey, this is my mission. I really want us to not only do business, but do business the proper way. What are some of the things that you've been seeing, some of the little mistakes and shortcuts and things that people have been making that you're like, oh, Lord, how did you get this far in your business and you don't even have this part of your business set up appropriately? What are some of those things?
Well, one of the main things which you would think the first thing you do when you have a business or when you think of a business is you come up with a name. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the main things that I find that people are not actually researching their name. So they may have been in business for 5 years and they're using a name that's actually taken, which is a big deal. Like you can't just choose a name and run with it. You have to make sure that that name is available within your state, but not only within your state, but also federally. And a lot of times when we set up our LLC or our structure, the state will tell you that the name is available, but they're not researching federally to tell you that the name is available. So that's on us to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to make sure that that name is not taken. So that's one of the main things that a lot of people don't realize is that you have to research your name. But other than that, just tax issues, making sure that they're filing for the correct permits and licenses, making sure that they have a strong foundation for their business, which includes having an operating agreement, making sure you have policies and procedures, making sure that you have all of those things in place a place for your clients to go, which is a website, not social media. You don't own social media, but making sure you have a website, business plan, all of those things. A lot of businesses don't think that those things are important. We're always looking, I have a business, I need to secure the bag, let's make some money. But you have to make sure that you do all of the back end things to make sure that you stay compliant, and that you not only can start a business, but you can stay in business.
Right. Right. And here's the thing. We always say that this is the non-sexy part of business, but it's the part that is probably pretty close to the most important aspect of business. And I've heard you say this here recently, that a lot of people, especially us, the nurse crew, we try to get the bag and all of this. But one of the things about that is you're making 6, 7, 8 figures, but you're also paying that much right back out in fines and penalties. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense as a foundationally sound business. And so I want you to speak to a little bit of that. I know that's kind of been your catchphrase here lately, like, hey, it's good to make those 6 and 7 figures, but I'm actually going to teach you and show you how to retain that money and make that money grow. Talk about that a little bit, if you will.
Exactly. So one of my newest catchphrases is, while other coaches and consultants are teaching you how to make 6 and 7 figures, I'm teaching you how to keep 6 and 7 figures, because it's really not about how much you make. It's about how much you can keep. I mean, if I make $1 million, but I have to pay $250,000 in fines, that's not okay. Right. So we want to make sure that we are setting our businesses up foundationally sound, making sure that they are compliant, so that we not only can say I made $1 million, but I was able to keep $1 million.
Yep. And grow, how can we scale and grow those millions of dollars into multiple millions and into an 8-figure company? So I think these are things that I've been saying this for a while now. I think that anybody who is here in our community who does coaching and consulting actually needs to run their group of people through you first, simply because a lot of times we're focused on what we're wanting to focus on. If our niche is CNA school or CPR, whatever, we're going to be focused on helping these businesses to set up from that aspect of it and leave the sexy part alone, the non-sexy part, I should say, alone, because that's not our wheelhouse. And so I really feel like what you do is an extreme asset to our community, but not only the B&E community, the Black community as a whole. And one thing I wanted to ask you about is, in the beginning of starting this business, you're calling it Look Like a Business. And I want you to talk about why is it important for us to not only be businesses, but actually look like a business when we're doing business in the public, for sure. Well, period. Let's just say period.
Definitely. So it's one thing to have a business. It's another thing to actually look like a business. With having a business, I mean, if you have an LLC and an EIN, technically in the eyes of your state, you are a business. But if you want to do any type of scaling with your business, if you want to grow your business, there are certain things that you have to have. If you want to ever work with the government, work with big corporations, there are certain things that you have to have. You can't go to a big corporation or to the government and say, I want to work with you, I want to get a government contract and have a free extension email address. Mm-hmm. You can't go there and say, my email address is Tameka McKneely @gmail. No, they're not going to accept that, because that doesn't make you look like a business. Right. So you want to make sure that you not only are a business, but that you also look like a business. And there are things that come with that. Like I said, business plan, capability statement, making sure that you have a website, even if it's just a landing page, but making sure that you have somewhere for them to go, because everything is done on the web these days. Right. You can't send the federal government to your Facebook page. You need to send them to your website. So there are a lot of things that come into play with looking like a business and not just being a business.
Good stuff. So your topic specifically for our conference is, I think we named it Compliance is Confidence. That's right. So here's the thing about it too. I feel like, for me, I could even speak on this specifically. You and I've had conversations about compliance things in the past, and what I realize and recognize is a lot of it I wasn't taught. I'm learning the hard way, like, oh my God, I didn't know I was supposed to be filing this and filing that. But once I know and put those processes into place, I realize that I can sleep a little bit better at night, right? It gives me a certain level of confidence to know that the business is going to run and run smoother and hopefully decrease the amount of fines or penalties or any other trouble. Because I'm like you, I'm like, I want to follow the rules too. So what is it that I need to do in order to make sure that these processes are put in place? So talk about whenever we're compliant, what that does for us, not only just physically in the business, but what does it do for us mentally when we are following the rules of business compliance?
Definitely. So, I mean, it's like with anything. If you're following the rules, if you are doing what you're supposed to do, you don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to worry about who's coming for you. So even as a child, when you're sneaking off to do something, you're always like looking back, making sure nobody's coming. It's the same thing with your business. If you are doing things and you're not set up correctly and you kind of threw your business together, then you always have that certain level of stress as to, it's kind of like that imposter syndrome kind of stress. Like, when am I going to be found out? When are they going to realize that my business is, held together by toothpicks? So when your business is compliant and you know that you have your things set up correctly, then you sleep really well at night. You don't have to worry about getting a letter in the mail from the IRS and wondering, oh my God, what is this? If you know your business is set up right, then you're like, okay, it must be just a notification, a reminder, because I know that everything is set up correctly. So it gives you a certain level of peace and it reduces stress on the mental side, just to know that if somebody comes for me, if an auditor comes, if anybody comes, where's this? Where's that? Here it is. Here it is. Because I have my things in order. So I know that everything is going to go fine. Even if an auditor comes, I don't have to be afraid of that particular aspect of my business, because I have the confidence that I have set it up correctly and that all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. So bring it.
I like that. I like that. So my last thing to you is, I'm sure you've heard this a time or two. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but what do you say to the individual that says, yeah, so all of that sounds good and everything, but this is too expensive for me. Like, I don't really see the need in having a compliance department or a compliance officer on my business team. What would you say?
First, I would laugh. Then I would say, well, if you think compliance is expensive, then try non-compliance, because non-compliance is going to cost you a lot more when you could have just set your business up compliantly from the beginning, and you don't have to worry about the auditor coming and slapping you with fines and penalties, because they're going to cost you more than what it would have taken for you to set your business up compliantly. Then you're still going to have to set your business up compliantly in order to keep operating. So even if it doesn't cost you a fine, it may cost you some type of penalty. You may have to stop your business. It depends. You don't have any control over the consequence that comes with non-compliance. So you want to make sure that you are taking the proper steps, the proper actions to make sure that you are compliant, because non-compliance is going to cost you a lot more. And even those that say, I don't have the money for compliance, or I don't have the time right now to set up my compliance, it's not optional. Business compliance is not optional. You have to do it. So you would want to do it initially versus having your business set up and running, and then you go back to do your compliance because you may figure out that you have done some things incorrectly, and then you have to go and do them over. So you want to make sure that as soon as possible, preferably when you start your business, that you are setting it up compliantly in the right way so that you can, again, your business can be successful, your business can thrive. You definitely don't want to just survive. And it's all about making sure that you do everything correctly.
Yep. I like that. So, and here's the thing, us as nurses should understand this concept of compliance, because they're always monitoring, and have you documented this within this time frame? And they're constantly auditing and monitoring. So the nurse should understand compliance. But what I found is, even in the workplace, we have a certain level of compliance there whenever supervisors and managers and things are looking over your shoulder. But when we come over into the business world, our compliance level is a little different. this is my business. I'm running like I want to. I'm get the bag. So this is why these conversations are imperative for us to have and have them consistently. And it's so funny because I've watched people interact with you, Tameka, and I've watched their response, and it never fails. They'll be like, man, the more I talk to her, the more I find out something else that I need to do, or I should be doing, or I need to call her back. I literally hear this at least once a week. Somebody's like, I need to get back in touch with Tameka because she needs to help me with this, this, and this. Or I remember she said I needed that. So I recognize that this is valuable, and what you're doing is valuable to help to save our businesses, not only save them, but help them to grow and thrive. So I say to you, thank you for being a part of our event. Tameka will be running a whole workshop at this event, right?
I will.
A whole workshop. So those of you that need to get your life together, AKA all of us, I think there is a level of a compliance that we all not only obviously need, but can consistently build upon. This is not a one and done thing.
Oh, no.
It's not, I set my business up, I got my SOPs, I'm good. Like, we really consistently need to be monitoring and making sure that we are actively compliant.
Definitely. Yeah. Compliance does not stop with the setup. It doesn't stop with the startup. It doesn't stop with making sure you have a good foundation. Compliance is continuous. And you mentioned, as far as the nursing world, compliance, most business owners did not start off as business owners. They worked in some corporate environment, and every business is required to have compliance. So just like when you worked in corporate America, you worked in healthcare, and you had to follow certain compliance guidelines, those also apply to your business. When it comes to compliance, size does not matter.
Nope.
All businesses are required to be compliant. So just like the corporation or the healthcare, the hospital that you work for, they had policies and procedures, they had standard operating procedures, they had compliance reviews, compliance training. You have to have all of those in your business as well. So yes, size does not matter. You just want to make sure that everything is set up. And yes, I will be doing a whole workshop at the B&E Takeover. So I am excited to interact with you all and make sure that you all get on the right track to getting your businesses set up compliantly, and so that we compliance confidence.
There you go. Compliance confidence, and so that we actually look like businesses when we go to do our business. So that's it. Thank you, Tameka, for joining us today. Those of you who are still on the fence about coming to our event, I hope that the interviews that I've been doing gives you a kind of a background view, a sneak peek of the value that will be there. I'm just giving you a little tidbit of the sneak. Like, we got a whole 3-day extravaganza planned for you guys. So I'm excited for those of you who will be in the building. If you have not purchased your ticket, the tickets are still very much available. So you'll just need to go to the website. I dropped it right there in the, actually it's in the description, and it's also there on the ticker. So either way, it'll take you to it. Go grab your ticket, go grab your hotel. And last but not least, for those who are not able to make it in person, we do have a virtual option. You just use the same link down there at the bottom. Queen of Compliance, I appreciate your time today. I look forward to seeing you. I'm going to be at the workshop. I promise you, I'm going to be at the workshop. But you know, when you come to these workshops, you're like, oh Lord, Tameka's giving me homework. She's giving me more things. But I know that it's all in good, because she is genuinely interested in making sure that our businesses are good and solid. And so I appreciate your hard work and dedication to us. Thank you, sis.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.